A portion of this video is sponsored by DeepStash. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my experience using the iPhone 13 every day for the past 6 months, as well as taking a look at how the iPhone 13 compares to the rest of the iPhone lineup, to ultimately help you decide whether the iPhone 13 is the right iPhone to buy in 2022. As always, I will leave all the purchase links down in the description, as well as links to my other iPhone 13 related content. Let's get started. First, I want to talk about the durability. Now, the iPhone 13 features this aluminum and glass construction that has held up very well, as I'd come to expect from the iPhone. Now, I do use a case on most days. In fact, I have reviewed all of Apple's cases, which I will also leave linked in the description, but find myself always going back to the leather case. I would say this definitely has to be my favorite of the three. But even from not using a case from time to time, I can say that I have no scratches on the glass back, and the frame has held up really well too. I just have one tiny mark here on the top that actually occurred from accidentally bumping my iPhone into my aluminum MacBook stand. I know. Over the years, Apple screens have definitely become more crack resistant, but at the same time have also become more prone to scratching, so I do always use a screen protector on my phone and definitely recommend you do too. With all of that said, overall I would say I am happy with the durability of the iPhone 13. It is a well-made phone that uses high quality build materials and creates for a really solid feeling in the hand. The iPhone 13 didn't launch with any revolutionary new features. Instead, it made small upgrades to the three areas that matter most in a smartphone, from the battery to the display to the camera. Let's talk about each of these three and see how they've held up. The OLED display on the iPhone 13 is truly best in class. It is actually even brighter compared to the iPhone 12 and is clearly visible in all lighting conditions, even in direct sunlight. It comes with a pixel count of 460 pixels per inch, which means that everything is super clear and detail rich, even things like finer text. Realistically, I cannot distinguish the different pixels on the phone, and you wouldn't really need more than this. As well as this, colors are vibrant. Photos, videos, games, all are a joy to use and see on this display, especially HDR content, which looks especially fantastic. One feature that is missing on the iPhone 13 compared to the more expensive iPhone 13 Pro is that 120Hz refresh rate. Now, as someone who uses an M1 Pro MacBook Pro, be sure to check out my review on that if you're interested, which also has a 120Hz refresh rate. I can tell you that it definitely makes things feel smoother. Scrolling, system animations, basically any movement on screen just feels extra smooth. A nice feature to have, yes, but I wouldn't consider it essential. Compared to previous models of the iPhone going all the way back to the iPhone 10, the iPhone 13 for the first time introduced a slightly smaller notch. Apple have actually shrunk this by 20%, and initially I was really happy to see this. But since Apple doesn't utilize the extra screen space that this brings, it doesn't affect the way I use the phone in day-to-day. Still, this is a step in the right direction. However, it seems the next iPhone 14 will take a much more drastic step towards eliminating the notch. Overall, the display on the iPhone 13 truly is a joy to use. No complaints here. And this brings me to what is probably my favorite feature on the iPhone 13, and that has to be the battery life. The phone is slightly thicker compared to the iPhone 12, and this allows for a bigger battery inside. As a power user, I am on my phone a lot. On my iPhone 13, I find myself getting anywhere from 7 all the way up to 8 hours of screen on time every day. Now, ignoring the fact that that is way too many hours on my phone, this is actually really impressive battery life. In fact, this kind of battery life only worsens my screen time. On a normal day of messaging, music, watching videos, and using the camera, I can get through a full day with just about 25% remaining. And in days of lighter use, I've been able to get nearly 2 full days of battery life out of a single charge. Over the past 6 months, battery performance has been and remains consistent. Currently, I still have 100% battery health remaining. Before we talk about the cameras and look at how the iPhone 13 compares to the rest of the iPhone lineup, I want to introduce you to one of my favorite apps that I've been using every day on my iPhone 13. This is Deep Stash, an app available for iOS, Android, and the web that summarizes long-form content into bite-sized ideas, making it faster to read, more convenient to save, and easier to remember. Deep Stash offers a wide range of content, from productivity and business books to articles on trending topics and podcasts on tech, marketing, or design. You can also follow creators, react to content, and save it for later. By keeping your ideas organized in stashes, you can also more easily remember and apply them later. Let me show you my profile. As you can see, I've published several ideas where I like to take the most essential parts of my videos. For example, here I share my #1 iPhone tip, and that is to manage the number of notifications that you let come into your phone, both good for battery life as well as your well-being. Concise, useful, and easy to remember. I also have a stash titled Useful, so I can easily go back to my saved ideas. For example, I found this particularly cool idea from Weston A, who shares an idea on the linear method of note-taking to denote major and minor points. I found myself using the app most while waiting in line, on the tube, or whenever I have a few minutes to spare. To me, Deep Stash is a better alternative to endless scrolling through social media, and instead is a way to learn and keep your brain active. Be sure to head over to deepstash.com/Dion to get 60% of your subscription. Thanks again to Deep Stash. Now back to the iPhone 13. Let's talk about the cameras. Now, the dual lens camera system on the iPhone 13 is truly impressive. I use the cameras every day, mainly the wide angle lens, but enjoy using the ultra wide angle lens from time to time too, and both lenses perform very well in all lighting conditions. Photos are true to life, white balance is spot on, and colors are vibrant without being too saturated. Images are also sharp and retain detail, even using the ultra-wide angle lens. And regardless of lighting, skin tones are accurate and true to life. For years now, iPhones have been known for their exceptional video quality, and the iPhone 13 only stands to strengthen this consensus. The wide-angle lens uses sensor shift technology to provide an almost gimbal level of stability. Dynamic range too is excellent. In fact, I would say it is even better compared to the camera that I'm using to film this video with right now. I have even used some 4K 60 FPS footage shot on my iPhone 13 in my YouTube videos as B-roll. And all of this is to say that the camera performance on the iPhone 13 places it firmly amongst the best. Now let's check out the current iPhone lineup. The iPhone 13 starts at $799, and you may be tempted to save $100 and instead buying the iPhone 12. But my advice here is not to buy the iPhone 12 over the iPhone 13. Comparing the two, the iPhone 13 provides far superior battery life, double the storage going from 64 to 128 gigabytes, as well as improved cameras, smaller notch, and more. All of this for just $100, believe me, it's a no-brainer. But what about the more expensive iPhone 13 Pro? The 13 Pro has even better cameras, including a telephoto lens, that 120Hz refresh rate display, and an even more premium build quality. But for $200 more, I just can't justify the increase in price. For most, including myself, I suggest going for the regular iPhone 13, as it provides a better value package. At the end of the day, the iPhone 13 is a safe upgrade. Apple didn't take any risks with a revolutionary new feature or design. Instead, they upgraded the areas that matter most, from the display to the battery to the cameras. And while this may not create the most exciting phone in the world, it does create a phone that is really good. As we are approaching March, we are currently at the midpoint between the iPhone 13's release and the launch of the upcoming iPhone 14, so should you wait? You can always wait for the next model, but my advice here, if you need an upgrade now, the iPhone 13 is a solid phone that delivers in all of the most important areas and will last for many years to come, and the upcoming iPhone 14 won't change that. Let me know if you have any questions. If you're interested, I will leave all the purchase links down in the description. If you haven't seen them yet, I highly recommend checking out my full iPhone 13 review, as well as my iPhone 13 guide. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.